As the centuries passed, Axel's legend grew in the underworld. He became known as a powerful warrior and protector, feared and respected by all who knew of him. Despite his fame and power, however, Axel never forgot his one true love. He continued to search for Lady Death, hoping against hope that she would one day return his feelings. And then, one day, his prayers were answered. Lady Death appeared before him, her dark cloak swirling around her like a shroud. At first, Axel was overjoyed. He thought that perhaps he had come to return his love, to finally acknowledge the feelings that he had held for her for so long. But as he approached her, he saw that something was wrong. Lady Death's eyes were empty and hollow, and her skin was cold and lifeless. Axel realized with a start that this was not the Lady Death that he had fallen in love with. This was just a shell, a mere shadow of the woman that he had once known. He felt a deep sense of loss and despair wash over him. He had spent so many centuries pining for Lady Death, hoping and praying that she would one day return his love, and now she was gone. But even in his grief, Axel knew that he could not give up. He had spent a long searching for Lady Death, too many years dreaming of a future with her, to simply give up now. And so he continued to wander the underworld, fighting for what he believed in and never losing hope that one day he would find Lady Death once again. As Axel continued his search for Lady Death, he began to uncover clues and hints that led him to believe that she was still out there, somewhere in the underworld. He traveled to distant corners of the underworld, seeking out ancient artifacts and seeking guidance from powerful sorcerers and sages. And all the while, he kept Lady Death close in his heart, never giving up hope that he would one day find her again. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of searching, Axel received a vision. In it, Lady Death appeared before him once again, but this time she was different. Her eyes were alive and vibrant, and there was a warmth to her that he had never seen before. As he approached her, Lady Death took his hand and led him through the underworld. They traveled through dark and twisted passages, and Axel could feel the weight of his loneliness lifting from his shoulders. Finally, they arrived at a great throne, where Lady Death sat down and gestured for Axel to take his place at her side. He did so gladly, knowing that he had finally found his true home. From that day forward, Axel and Lady Death ruled the underworld together. They protected the souls of the dead and fought against the forces of evil, side by side. And though Axel knew that Lady Death could never truly return his love in the way that he had always hoped, he was content just to be near her, to bask in her presence, and to know that he had finally found his true purpose in life. And so he spent the rest of his days as Lady Death's faithful servant, fighting for what he believed in and never losing hope that one day his love would be returned in full. It turned out that the vision Axel had was indeed just a dream. He woke up to the reality that Lady Death was still out there, beyond his reach. But instead of giving up hope, Axel redoubled his efforts to find Lady Death. He searched every corner of the underworld and beyond, never giving up hope that he would one day be reunited with his one true love. As the centuries passed, Axel's legend continued to grow. He became known as a hero and protector of the underworld, a powerful warrior who never backed down from a fight. But despite his many achievements, Axel remained haunted by his unrequited love for Lady Death. He spent countless hours dreaming of her, imagining what it would be like to finally hold her in his arms. And then, one day, he received a message. It was a cryptic note, written in a language that he had never seen before, but he knew, somehow, that it was from Lady Death. With renewed hope, Axel set out on a quest to decipher the message and track down its author. He traveled far and wide, overcoming countless obstacles and facing down the most fearsome creatures in the underworld, and finally, after many long years of searching, he found her. Lady Death stood before him. For a moment, Axel was speechless. He had dreamed of this moment for so long, but now that it was here, he found himself at a loss for words. But Lady Death simply smiled, and in that moment, Axel knew that everything he had gone through had been worth it. He took her hand in his, and together they walked into the darkness, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Axel was overjoyed to hear Lady Death's confession of love. He had waited for centuries for this moment. and he could hardly believe that it was finally happening. Together, they walked deeper into the darkness, hand in hand. Axel felt a sense of peace and contentment that he had never known before. For the first time in a long time, he knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be. As they journeyed deeper into the underworld, Lady Death told Axel the story of how she had come to fall in love with him. She spoke of how she had always respected his strength and his loyalty, but had never allowed herself to feel anything more than that. But when she had been defeated and banished from his side, she had come to realize that her feelings for him ran much deeper than she had ever known. She had spent centuries trying to bury those feelings, to deny them, but in the end, she could no longer resist the pull of her heart. Axel listened to Lady Death's words with rapt attention, feeling his own love for her grow stronger with each passing moment. He knew that they had a long journey ahead of them, filled with danger and uncertainty, but he also knew that he was willing to face it all with her by his side. And so they walked deeper and deeper into the darkness, their love shining like a beacon of hope in a world that had long since lost its light. For Axel and Lady Death, there was nothing that could stand in their way, no obstacle too great, no challenge too daunting. Together, they were unstoppable, two souls bound together by a love that would endure through all eternity. As Axel and Lady Death stood before their followers, ready to pledge their eternal love and loyalty to one another, they were suddenly interrupted by a dark, foreboding presence. It was the soul that had once loved Axel, returned with a vengeance. The soul was consumed with anger and jealousy. Unable to bear the thought of Axel being with Lady Death, it lashed out at them, unleashing its full power and wreaking havoc throughout the underworld. Axel and Lady Death stood together, ready to face whatever came their way. They knew that their love was strong enough to withstand any challenge, and they were determined to prove it. As the soul continued to attack, Axel and Lady Death fought back with all their might. They used their combined strength and power to push back against the soul, determined to protect their love and their kingdom. Despite the soul's best efforts, Axel and Lady Death emerged victorious. Their love had proven to be stronger than any force in the underworld, and they had proven themselves to be true leaders, willing to fight for what they believed in. With the threat of the soul finally vanquished, Axel and Lady Death were free to rule over the underworld as king and queen, together for all eternity. Their love had conquered all, and they knew that nothing could ever tear them apart. And so they ruled with strength and wisdom, and with a love that burned bright as the fires of the underworld itself. They were an inspiration to all who followed them, a testament to the power of love, and a force to be reckoned with for all time. Axel noticed Lady Death staring into nothingness and asked her if she was okay. She then asked him if he would like to have a child with her. Axel, with tears in his eyes, replied, "Fuck yes." Lady Death smiled at Axel's response, feeling a warmth spread throughout her body. She had always dreamed of starting a family with him, but had been hesitant to bring it up. As they walked to their bedroom, Lady Death couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation. She knew that starting a family would be a new adventure, one that would bring them even closer together. When they reached their bedroom, Axel gently laid Lady Death down on the bed, kissing her softly as he climbed on top of her. They made love with a passion and intensity that they had never experienced before, their bodies intertwining in a beautiful dance of love and desire. Afterwards, as they lay together in each other's arms, Axel whispered into Lady Death's ear, promising to love and cherish her forever. Lady Death felt her heart swell with love for her husband, knowing that they had created something special together. In the months that followed, Lady Death became pregnant with their child. Axel doted on her, taking care of her every need and showering her with love and affection. When their child was born, they named him Damien. The child was a symbol of their love, a reminder of the strength and resilience that they had shown in the face of adversity. As they watched their son grow and flourish, Axel and Lady Death knew that they had created something truly special together. They had proven that even in the darkest of places, love could conquer all, and they were grateful for the chance to share their love with the world. Axel and Lady Death were in the midst of their passionate lovemaking when they suddenly heard a familiar voice echoing through the darkness. It was the soul, and she had returned with a vengeance. She had been lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, Axel and Lady Death were taken aback. But they did not let the soul's presence dampen their passion. Instead, they redoubled their efforts, determined to show the soul that their love was stronger than her hate. As they continued to make love, the soul's presence grew stronger, and they could feel her anger and resentment boiling up inside of her. But they refused to be intimidated, continuing to pour their love into each other with reckless abandon. In the end, their love proved too strong for the soul to overcome, and she was forced to retreat back into the shadows once more. Axel and Lady Death emerged from their lovemaking even more united than before, their love stronger than ever in the face of adversity.